There's a question that has quietly haunted readers of the Bible for over 100 years. Is America hidden somewhere in Bible prophecy? It sounds almost impossible. The Bible was finished nearly 2,000 years before the United States existed. No prophet ever stood on a hillside and said the word America. It's not in the text, it's not in the maps, it's not in the names. And yet, tucked into the strangest, most mysterious chapter of the entire Bible, there is a description so specific, so unexpected, that careful readers have stopped cold and asked the same stunned question for generations. Wait, could that be us? The chapter is Revelation 13, and most people have never actually read what it says. They've heard the rumors, the beasts, the number, the mark. They've absorbed the fear without ever opening the page. But here's what almost nobody tells you. Revelation 13 is not a chapter about panic. It's a chapter about patterns, about how power behaves, how empires rise, and how easily even the gentlest nation can forget who it was meant to be. So tonight, we're going to do something rare. We're going to actually read it, slowly, honestly, without the fear and without the hype. And by the end, you'll understand exactly what Revelation 13 says and what it doesn't. You'll see why so many readers have pointed to America, and you'll discover that the real message of this chapter isn't about a country at all. It's about you. Why does Revelation talk about beasts? Before we can ask about America, we have to understand the strange language Revelation is speaking. Because when most people open Revelation 13, the first thing they hit is a creature rising out of the sea, a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, Revelation 13 verse 1. And immediately they assume it's a monster movie, something supernatural, something terrifying crawling out of the ocean. But that's not how the Bible uses this language at all. Centuries before Revelation, the prophet Daniel had a vision of 4 great beasts rising out of a churning sea, Daniel 7 verse 3, and an angel explained exactly what they meant. The 4 great beasts are 4 kingdoms, Daniel 7 verse 17. Read that again. In Bible prophecy, a beast is not a demon. A beast is an empire, a nation, a world power. And the sea those beasts rise out of? Revelation later tells us plainly, waters represent peoples, multitudes, nations, crowded places, old continents, regions thick with history and people. So suddenly the picture changes. Revelation 13 isn't a horror film. It's a political map, a prophetic timeline of how power has moved across the earth. And that one detail is the key that unlocks everything. Because once you know a beast is a kingdom, the next clue in the chapter becomes impossible to ignore. The first beast, the power that ruled the old world. The first beast in Revelation 13 rises out of the sea, out of that crowded ancient world of ancient nations. Revelation 13 verse 1. And John watches it do something staggering. It receives power, a throne, and great authority. Revelation 13 verse 2. The whole world follows after it. Revelation 13 verse 3. It speaks proud words. It dominates. For a long stretch of history, it rules almost unchallenged. Revelation 13 verses 5 to 7. This is a portrait of a vast religious political power, one that rose in the crowded heart of the old world and held authority over kings and nations for centuries. But then John notices something. The beast suffers what looks like a deadly wound. Revelation 13 verse 3. For a moment, its dominance collapses. It looks finished. It looks like the story of this power is over. And here's the line that should make you lean in. The wound is healed. The power that looked dead recovers, and the world is amazed. But pause right here, because something in the prophecy is about to shift. For 12 verses, every power has come up out of the sea, out of that crowded, ancient, populated world. That pattern has held since the days of Daniel. And then, in verse 11, the pattern breaks.
Now, if you've ever felt like Revelation is a locked room you're not allowed into, I want you to know something. It isn't. Everything we just unlocked, beasts, seas, wounds, it followed simple rules the Bible itself explains. And I've put all of those rules in plain language into a free guide called How to Read the Bible Without Giving Up. It's built for exactly this moment, for the curious person who keeps almost understanding and wants the door to finally open. The link is in the description. Grab it, and chapters like this one stop being scary and start being clear. Now, back to verse 11, because this is where America enters the conversation.
The second beast, the power that broke the pattern. Watch what John says next. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, Revelation 13:11. Out of the earth, not the sea. This is the detail that has stopped readers in their tracks for over a century. Every empire before this rose from the crowded, populated ancient world. But this new power rises from somewhere different, somewhere empty, somewhere unpeopled, a wide, open land instead of an ocean of old nations. And there's more. This second beast appears on the world stage right around the time the first beast receives its deadly wound, Revelation 13:11-12. A new power rising in a sparsely settled land at the very moment an old world power stumbles. Then John describes how it looks. It had two horns like a lamb, Revelation 13:11. A lamb, gentle, young, innocent. In the Bible, the lamb is the picture of Christ himself, of meekness and peace. This is a nation that begins gently. No crown, no conquest, two horns, and notice, no crowns on those horns, unlike the kings of earlier visions. A power not built on inherited monarchy. A power that rises looking harmless, even good. This is why, for generations, careful readers of prophecy have looked at this verse, a young nation rising from an empty land at the right moment in history, founded on lamb-like ideals of freedom and faith, and quietly asked, could this be describing the United States? It's a fair question. The fit is striking. But before anyone celebrates, John finishes the sentence, and the ending is not gentle. The warning hidden in a gentle beginning. It had two horns like a lamb, John writes, but it spoke like a dragon. Stop. Feel the weight of that contrast. A lamb that speaks like a dragon. In Revelation, the dragon is the symbol of the great enemy, of force, of coercion, of the spirit that crushes rather than persuades, Revelation 12:9. So the prophecy describes a heartbreaking turn, a nation that begins like a lamb, gentle, free, a refuge, but somewhere along the way, its voice changes. It starts to speak with the tone of the very powers it once stood against. Persuasion gives way to pressure, freedom gives way to force. And John says this second power eventually uses its influence to make the whole world honor the first beast, the old world power whose wound had healed, Revelation 13:12. This is the tragedy buried in the prophecy. It's not a story about a nation being evil from the start. It's a story about a nation forgetting itself. A lamb that slowly, quietly begins to sound like a dragon. And if Revelation 13 really is, in part, pointing at America, then this verse is not to be proud of. It's a verse to be sobered by. It's a warning, not a flag to wave. But the chapter still isn't finished, because everything so far has been building toward one final, famous, deeply misunderstood symbol.
The mark, the number, and what it actually means. Here it comes, the most feared image in the entire Bible, a mark, placed on the right hand or the forehead, and without it, John says, no one can buy or sell. Revelation 13:16-17. And then the number 666, Revelation 13:18. For centuries, people have turned this into a horror story. Barcodes, microchips, credit cards, every generation finds a new gadget to be afraid of. But step back and look at what the chapter is actually describing. The mark is tied to worship. The whole conflict of Revelation 13 is about who the world will bow to. Revelation 13:8, Revelation 13:15. And the mark is placed on the hand, the symbol of what we do, or the forehead, the symbol of what we believe and choose. This isn't mainly about technology, it's about allegiance. It's a prophecy about a day when the world is pressured, economically, socially, politically, to go along with a system that has quietly pushed God aside. A day when staying faithful might cost you something, when standing with the Lamb might mean standing alone. And the number 666? Notice what John says right before it. Let the person who has insight calculate. Revelation 13:18. He doesn't say be afraid, he says understand. Throughout Scripture, the number 7 is the number of completeness, of God's perfect work. 6 falls short. 6 repeated again and again, 666, is the picture of a human system reaching for perfection, reaching for the place of God, and never quite getting there. It's rebellion that looks impressive and is still, in the end, hollow. Revelation 13 isn't trying to terrify you, it's trying to prepare you. And this is exactly why I made that free guide for you. Because a chapter like Revelation 13 was never meant to be read in a panic, alone, late at night with your stomach in knots. It was meant to be read with calm understanding, the way we just read it together. How to read the Bible without giving up will give you the simple tools to do that with any chapter, the ones that scare you and the ones that comfort you. It's free, it's in the description, and it might be the thing that finally makes the whole Bible feel like home instead of a locked door. Now, let's bring this all the way home.
So, is America in Bible prophecy? Let's answer the question honestly. The Bible never says the word America. Anyone who tells you otherwise is reading something into the text that simply isn't there. But Revelation 13 does describe a recognizable pattern. A power that rises from an empty land instead of a crowded one, that appears at a specific moment in history, that begins gentle as a lamb, and is warned about what its voice could one day become. Many sincere students of prophecy look at that description and see the United States. Others read it differently, and faithful people have held both views for a long time. But here's what matters more than settling that debate. Because if you walk away from Revelation 13 only arguing about which country it is, you have missed the entire point. Revelation 13 is not ultimately a chapter about geography. It's a chapter about the human heart. Every beast in this prophecy tells the same story the whole Bible has been telling from the beginning, the story of power that forgets God. It started in a garden with a single act of rebellion. It ran through every empire that ever rose and crushed and fell. Daniel 2:21. And it is still running today, in nations, in systems, and yes, in us. Because the truth is, every one of us has a little of both creatures inside. A lamb that longs to be gentle and faithful and free, and a dragon that wants control, that wants to win, that wants to be its own God. Revelation 13 holds up a mirror, and it asks one quiet, piercing question. Which voice are you going to speak with? The ending. The Lamb still wins. Here is the thing the fearmongers always leave out. Revelation 13 is a dark chapter. The beasts seem powerful. The mark seems unstoppable. For a moment, it genuinely looks like the dragon has won. But Revelation 13 is not the last chapter. Turn the page to Revelation 14, and the very first thing John sees is the Lamb, standing, unharmed, and with him not a beast's terrified subjects, but a great company of people who refused to bow, who held on, who kept the faith. Revelation 14, verse 1. The whole story of the Bible has been moving toward this moment. Humanity keeps reaching for power. Empires keep rising and falling. The dragon keeps roaring. But the Lamb, gentle, wounded, faithful, the Lamb always wins. So no, Revelation 13 is not a chapter meant to leave you afraid of the news, afraid of your country, afraid of the future. It's a chapter meant to leave you clear-eyed,
to help you recognize the patterns, to invite you, gently, to live as a lamb in a world full of dragons. Because in the end, this prophecy was never really asking which nation is the beast. It was asking, whose voice will you trust, the dragons or the lambs? And that question isn't answered by a country, it's answered by you. The beasts will rise and fall, the headlines will come and go, but the Lamb is still standing, and there is still room in that faithful company on the mountain for one more. Maybe that one is you. If this chapter finally made sense to you tonight, if the fear lifted even a little, then don't stop here. Start reading for yourself with confidence using my free guide, How to Read the Bible Without Giving Up. It's waiting in the description, and it will walk with you, page by page. If this brought you clarity, comment one word below, Lamb, so I know it reached you. Share it with someone who's been afraid of revelation, and subscribe to Scriptures Made Easy, because the Bible is one connected story, and the next piece is one you do not want to miss. The beasts are loud, but the Lamb is still standing.